400 kilometers above the Pacific, two astronauts floated out of an airlock to perform surgery. Not on a person, on a robot. A 17-meter arm, frozen solid, one of its wrists jammed. And here's the strange part. This machine is the same arm that built the space station they were standing on, piece by piece, which meant if they couldn't fix it, the station could lose the one hand it can't work without. So they got to work, moving at 8 kilometers a second, nothing but a thin visor between their faces and a vacuum that would kill them in seconds. This is the story of that arm, where it came from, why the whole station leans on it, and how, one Tuesday in June, two humans went outside to operate on a machine. You've ever seen a photo of the space station? You've seen it, that long white jointed arm reaching out from the hull like something alive. It's called Canadarm 2, and it is, quite literally, the station's hands. Here's what people don't realize about living in orbit. You can't just open a door and grab a delivery. When a cargo ship arrives, a Cygnus freighter packed with food, water, experiments, spare parts, it doesn't dock on its own. It stops a few meters away and simply waits. And then the arm reaches out, takes hold of it, and pulls it in. Astronauts call it catching a spacecraft, plucking a multi-ton freighter out of the dark, gently enough not to break either one. More on how insane that is in a minute. That's not all it does. It moves astronauts too. During a spacewalk, a crew member can lock their boots onto the end of the arm and ride it across the station, hands-free, a cherry picker in space. Inspects the hull for damage. It drags dead equipment out and bolts new modules in. People, multi-ton payloads. It's hoisted them all with the same patient touch. So, when you ask, why would you risk 2 lives to fix a robot? This is the answer. Without that arm, resupply gets harder. Some repairs simply can't happen. And the station loses a piece of itself it leans on almost every week. The arm isn't a convenience, it's infrastructure. And infrastructure, when it fails, fails big. Which raises a question, how did a Canadian robot end up being the thing that holds the world space station together? To answer that, you have to go back to 1981, to a country that had basically been told it would never fly its own astronauts. Space Shuttle had just started flying, and on only its second mission, it carried something new in its cargo bay, a slender robotic arm painted white, with a small red maple leaf near the base, the Canadarm. It was Canada's ticket into human spaceflight. Canada couldn't build rockets like the superpowers. What it could build was robotics, brilliant, reliable, delicate robotics. So that became the deal. For 30 years, the Canadarm flew on the shuttle, deploying satellites, grabbing the Hubble Space Telescope for repairs, later inspecting the orbiter's own heat shield for damage. It became one of the most trusted tools in the whole program. And when the world set out to build a permanent home in orbit, the International Space Station, Canada was asked back. But this time, the job was bigger. This time, the arm wouldn't just ride along. It would build the station itself. That arm was Canadarm 2. It launched in 2001 and almost immediately went to work assembling the very structure it was bolted to. Think about how strange that is. A machine constructing its own home around itself, in freefall, with no ground to stand on. Modules would arrive, one at a time, and the arm would reach out, take each new piece, and fit it into place. Piece by piece, over years, the station took shape around it. Trusses, labs, solar wings, docking ports. The football field-sized outpost flying over your head tonight was, to a remarkable degree, bolted together by this one Canadian arm. And here's the detail almost nobody knows. To reach every corner of a structure that size, the arm couldn't stay in one place. It had to move itself, crawling across the outside of the station as it built. Building something is one thing. To understand what failed in June, you have to understand how this arm actually moves. Because it doesn't move like any arm you've ever seen. Your arm has a shoulder, an elbow, a wrist. Canadarm 2 has 7 joints, 7 independent motors. That's more than a human arm has, and it's no accident. Those extra joints let it fold and twist into positions your body never could. Engineers call it 7 degrees of freedom. In plain terms, it can reach almost anywhere, at almost any angle. Here's the part that sounds like science fiction. Canadarm 2 has no fixed shoulder. Both ends are identical, each one a kind of hand that can grip the station. So, the arm can let go with one end, swing over, grab a new anchor point somewhere else on the hull, and release the first. It walks, end over end, hand over hand, like an inchworm crawling across the outside of the station, moving itself to wherever the work is. Now picture the hardest thing it does. Remember that cargo ship it catches? That freighter is closing in at 28,000 kilometers an hour, matched to the station's orbit. It eases up to within a few meters and holds. Inside the Q-Pu-Lu, that domed window with the best view in the solar system, an astronaut takes the controls, and with a feather touch, they drive the arm out, line up the grapple, and pull a free-flying spacecraft out of orbit. One wrong nudge and you've got a collision in space. They do it smoothly, almost routinely. That's how good this system is. All of it, the walking, the catching, the building, depends on those 7 joints doing exactly what they're told. Each one has to turn on command precisely every time. So, what happens when one of them doesn't? May 27th, just another day of operations. Ground controllers sent Canadarm 2 a routine command, the kind it had run thousands of times. Move. And one joint didn't. It was joint number 5, a wrist joint, out near the end of the arm. As the motor tried to turn, it began pulling more electrical current than it should. Too much power, and no motion. To an engineer, that's an alarm bell. Elevated current with no movement means something inside is binding, dragging, fighting itself. The joint wasn't behaving the way it was built to. In effect, the arm's wrist had seized. Now, a stiff wrist might not sound like a crisis, but remember what this arm is for. A joint you can't trust is a joint you can't use. And half trust is no good out here, not when the job is catching a freighter, carrying a crewmate, or handling anything you can't afford to drop. So NASA and the Canadian Space Agency made a call. They wouldn't try to nurse the bad joint along. They'd replace it. And conveniently, because these agencies plan for exactly this kind of failure, a spare wrist joint had been sitting in storage on the outside of the station for years, waiting for a day nobody hoped would come. That spare came with a catch. No robot could install it, not the arm itself, not anything back on Earth. The only way to swap that joint was the oldest tool in the space program, a human being in a suit, going outside to do it by hand. And out there, they'd get one shot. One stripped bolt, one spare that wouldn't seat, and the station's arm could stay crippled for good. Which brings us back to the morning of June 30th. At 8:20 Eastern Time, Chris Williams and Jessica Meir switched their suits to internal power and opened the hatch. The clock started. A spacewalk is a race against your own supplies, your oxygen, your battery, your body, and this one was going to be long. They weren't alone out there, even in the vacuum. Down in Houston, Canadian astronaut Jenny Gibbons talked them through every step, choreographing the repair from the ground. Inside the station, 2 more crewmates, Jack Hathaway of NASA and Francis Sophie Adenau, had helped them into their suits and were driving the arm itself into position, holding the patient still for surgery. Then the work began. One by one, they released bolts that had been torqued down in a factory on Earth years before. They worked the dead component, joint number 5, loose and set it aside. In its place went the spare, maneuvered in and locked home. That sounds simple? It wasn't. Every motion in a spacesuit is a small fight. The gloves are pressurized, stiff, exhausting to close. The station races in and out of sunlight every 45 minutes, so the temperature swings hundreds of degrees, from glare to pitch black and back. Any tool you let go of is gone forever, and the whole time, the Earth is turning underneath you, close enough to touch and utterly out of reach. 7 hours and 20 minutes. That's how long they worked out there. And then, the moment of truth. Down in Mission Control, they fed power and data to the new joint, and asked Canadarm 2 to do the one thing it had refused to do since May. Move. It moved. The arm answered, power flowing, signals clean, the wrist turning freely again. After more than 7 hours in the vacuum, the station had its hand back, and the timing was almost too perfect. They'd pulled it off on the eve of Canada Day, giving the country that built the arm something to celebrate. It's easy to see a spacewalk like this as an ending, a problem solved, a box checked, but it's really a link in a much longer chain. That chain started with a maple leaf in a shuttle's cargo bay in 1981. It runs through the arm that built the space station, through a wrist joint replaced by hand in 2026, and it's already reaching for the moon. Because the next arm is coming. It's called Canadarm 3, and it's being built for Gateway, the small station that will orbit the moon later this decade. The Gateway will spend long stretches with no crew aboard, and it's too far away for the kind of real-time, hands-on control they used on June 30th. So, Canadarm 3 will have to do something its ancestors never could. It will have to think for itself, using artificial intelligence to inspect, maintain, and repair the station on its own, with no one there to guide its hands. From a robot that needed a human on the controls, to a robot that built a station, to a robot that will look after itself in orbit around another world. That's the Ark. 45 years of a quiet idea, that the most human thing we can send into space might just be a good pair of hands. 2 astronauts proved it again in June. They went out into the most hostile place we know to save a machine, because that machine keeps the rest of us reaching a little farther. The next arm won't need us at all. It'll repair itself, alone in the dark, in orbit around the moon, whether that's brilliant or a little terrifying. That's a story for another video. Subscribe, and I'll take you there.